So let me start by welcoming you to this A2i Talk, which we have labeled Combining Aid, Trade and Development Finance into the Ugandan Agriculture Sector. To enlighten us on this topic, we are happy to have with us Ole Dahl Rasmussen from the Danish Embassy in Uganda, as well as Moses Nyabila, who's the CEO of A2i Development. So these are two very central persons and capacities who work with this on a daily basis and who will help us out today. So thank you very much for helping us out, Moses and Ole. The plan for today's session is that Ole and Moses will start up with a 20 to 25-minute presentation, which we follow by 10 to 15 minutes where you can ask questions. For the questions, please raise your digital hand or post your questions in the chat. I should also say that we are recording the session, which will be available for streaming on our website at a later stage. I think that is it from my side. So let me hand over the screen to you, Ole and Moses.
Thanks a lot, Thomas. Thanks a lot for the invitation. It's really a pleasure. I'm Ole Rasmussen. I work at the Danish Embassy in Kampala. I'm the team leader for a team called Green Economy and Climate, and I'll get back to what we do here. But first, I want to hand over to Moses, who is my co-presenter today, to introduce himself.
Yes, thanks, Ole. I'm trying to get a position where the lighting is good because I'm a bit dark. Yes, my name is Moses Nyabila. I'm the CEO of A2i Development. So we'll talk a little about A2i Development in a little while. But I'm very excited to be here and to talk about business between Denmark and Uganda.
All right, thank you, Moses. Let's get to it. Before we start though, in Uganda, we always spend the first half hour of any meeting with a long round of introductions. I don't want to do that, but I will ask you to put your name and your organization and your title, if you want, in the chat. Just so that we get a chance, Moses and me, a little bit to see who is here. Because Thomas's last point of the discussion, I think is really very interesting to us. So once we get there, it's great to be able to see who everybody is. So please put your name and organization and title, if you feel, in the chat. And then let's just move on. I hope you can all see the starting slide, which is the official title of this talk, which is Combining Aid, Trade and Development Finance into the Ugandan Agriculture Sector. It's quite a long title, so I chose maybe to simplify it a little bit and to say why don't we just call it Combining Aid and Trade, Ugandan Opportunities. And I can say that this topic, oh, I see I have the wrong name here. That's very embarrassing. This topic is extremely dear to my heart. Just a little bit more maybe about me and about what we do here at the embassy. I have worked for 15 years with development and the private sector, and for 10 years in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, 4 years in Burkina Faso, and then now 3 years here in Uganda. And throughout those years, this effort to try to combine aid and trade, or business and development aid, has been there throughout. And let me just say from the beginning, it sounds so obvious. Like everybody you talk to will say, yeah, of course we have to do that. But actually, when it comes to reality, it turns out to be not super easy. And so I will try in this my brief 10 minutes to basically talk about why it is not super easy, and of course also hopefully to get to, if we want to do it, then how can we do that? Now first, let's talk a little bit about, yeah, okay, I'm trying to still find my way around here. You heard about me later. Moses will introduce himself, but just to say that Moses is the CEO of one of our most important partners here in Uganda, ABI Development, and has a lot of super good experience exactly from this commercial angle of development and of agriculture. So that'll be a great advantage later. Even my circle is wrong. Okay, that's really good. This here on my screen it's right, but I see on your screen it's probably wrong. How about this? This is Uganda. I can see a lot of you know. Some of you were here even last week, but I'm sure there's a couple of people who don't know. This map shows two things. It shows where Uganda is in the middle of Africa, landlocked, but it also shows some red colors. Those red colors is vulnerability to climate change. It's a very big topic for us here that we are trying to integrate the response to climate change and the preparations for further climate change into everything we do. So this map, just to tell you and to show you how vulnerable Uganda is, apart from where it is. Otherwise, let me talk a little bit about how we work here at the embassy with business and how we work with development cooperation. And then, of course, at the end, maybe how to combine those two things. So if we just take the challenges head on, then I think when it comes to the specific combination of business and development, which is Danish businesses and then the development cooperation as we do it from Denmark, we see a lot of unrealistic expectations. And I hope that in this talk and today, we can try to align some of those expectations. So for example, from the development side, we very often find an expectation that Danish companies that are coming to Uganda will come with financing, that you know the equipment that they're coming with, that there's some kind of financial model. Of course, that's not the case. On the other hand, on the business side, we very often see that businesses are coming here and they see, we can probably just sell our stuff. That also turns out not to be the case. It's very rare for a company to come to Denmark and basically sell stuff. So the solution to all of this is somewhere in between, that instead of just selling stuff and instead of just expecting finance, we need to basically work together. So on the local challenges, we also have to not forget Uganda is stable, Uganda is fertilized, it is fertile, it's still landlocked, and it is also still sometimes quite slow. On our side, for the aid we do, well, the purpose of that development aid is to provide social and economic development of Uganda. The purpose is not to attract Danish companies. So that's if I am to get to the core of why this sometimes is difficult, I think that is why. Simply in the law that mandates us to do development, a silo was created, saying that the purpose has to be social economic development of Uganda. What we are then working on is, of course, very often there's an overlap. We can do business from Denmark to Uganda, and it will contribute to social and economic development of Uganda. But that's kind of where a lot of things go wrong. We have quite some bureaucracy. We have some necessary bureaucracy. We need to guard our Danish taxpayer money. So it means that there is bureaucracy and it will be slow. Even the Danish companies that we shall get back to who have engaged with ABI will find that it is slow. We can do better, we must do better, but some of it is on purpose. It's because we are protecting the Danish taxpayers' money. Finally, to be frank, people involved in aid, they don't go around and think about business. And that's true for the Danish businesses, but it's also true for some of the local businesses that I know some of you are involved in. You know, aid people don't think about like how to basically, what's the requirement for this type of equipment? How can we include the private sector? So we hope that we do a little bit more, Moses and I, but many simply don't. On the other side of the fence, people in business oftentimes don't take the effort to actually understand this whole aid machinery. How does it work? So now I got you all depressed with all the challenges. Let's talk about some of the opportunities, because they are definitely there. So basically, we are here today to try to align expectations, and that because we have a very large Danish embassy. We have 40 people sitting in this embassy, and we have a strong commitment to also help Danish businesses, and I'll get back to that. We have an aid budget which is quite rather large, at least from a Danish perspective, of 120 million Danish kroner per year. So we do have some significant links into the Ugandan society that we can leverage to maybe move this trade needle just a little bit. We have the same priorities. That's essentially because we have the same government and the same prime minister. So the support we give to Danish businesses also give special preferential treatment to green businesses, and our aid programs are also green. I showed you a map in the beginning of climate change adaptation. That is our key green agenda. It's a little bit of a strange agenda for many Danish discussions, where green usually means either what we call mitigation, so greenhouse gas reduction, basically more efficient technologies, or environment, protecting the local environment, waste handling, and water. Those two agenda points are also green, and they are also good, and we also do them. But our main priority, yes.
On my screen, we're still on the map slide.
Oh, that is not so good. On my screen, I'm squarely on the opportunities and the challenges. How about this? Did it help?
I don't know for the others of you. Are you still on the map slide?
Yes.
Yes.
We're on the map.
Hey, you are on the map side.
Yes.
Okay, that's not so good. What do I do?
Okay, now we're moving down.
Now it's moving.
But now you don't see the presentation mode.
No, but we see the slide. Yes,
That's
good.
That's better. If we read one of the two, then let's take the right slide. So here are the opportunities. So I was getting to our green priorities, and I was saying that climate change adaptation is really at the top of our mind in our development work, but also when we help Danish businesses. Then there's an underlying thing which makes this super easy and good, which is agriculture. So our budget of 120 million Danish kroner per year, actually all of what we spend on private sector and all of it what we spend on green has something to do with agriculture. So the huge potential of Danish businesses that are working in agriculture should have quite an easy way into this. A lot of them are using technology. So there is the opportunity is right there when you look at it. It's just to make it work in practice that where we really need to work together. From the development side, one key advantage, as I see it, is that we have long time spans. Our development programming is 5, or actually in this particular case, 6 years. We are planning what to do until 2028. So if you as an organization or investor or business owner in Denmark are thinking, okay, I would like to engage more with the Danish programming in Uganda, then you can study that programming now, and you can be pretty sure that it looks similar in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years. So basically the investment you do in taking the effort to understand something that's quite out of most businesses' comfort zone will be useful, hopefully, will be useful for the next many years, because we have so long time spans. Then finally, there's the underlying pitch of Uganda, which I do believe is quite strong. The middle class is growing rapidly. There's general a conducive framework for business. I meet tons of businesses who actually don't have any trouble with the Ugandan government, not even with the tax authorities. So if you think about other countries, I think there's a conducive framework. I'm not saying there's no problem. We do have problems with the land rights and other things, but generally there's a conducive framework. Sectors like poultry, horticulture, and dairy, they are growing quite rapidly. So there you have it, the challenges and the opportunities. Let me make it a tiny bit more specific to explain to you what we do at the Danish Embassy that may facilitate this. So we have a separate mandate to help Danish companies. It's under the Trade Council, which is the Danish Ministers of Foreign Affairs system to help Danish companies. It basically means that we provide consulting assistance. Of course, you can get free assistance and advice from us. We are allowed to do that for 30 minutes. We often do it more because we love Danish businesses. But after that, you can hire us as consultants. Basically, we'll come with the ambassador. We'll engage ministers. We will refer you to all kinds of services. We do that a lot actually, and we see an increasing interest. As part of that, we also always join the Uganda EU Business Forum, which is an event that is biannually until now. The EU organizing a business forum, using their leverage to get on board quite high-level people. Last time it was organized in Uganda was in March, and we managed to get quite a number of Danish businesses to meet with the Ugandan president. For the issues they needed to raise at that level. So just to say we are we're using all of our partnerships to do that. We organize business delegations. We had one in March where Moses was a great help to show Danish businesses the opportunities. I just had a meeting yesterday with a poultry producer who told me he closed one of those deals that we were trying to facilitate in March on some poultry equipment. So of course that was extremely encouraging from Denmark. We have quite a large network. Moses can talk more about that we are happy to put you in contact with. And then we do it together with Danish organizations. So that means, of course, access to innovation, which is a great help in this work because they have one African local representation, as far as I know. At least they have a good one here in Uganda. We do it together with the Danish Food and Agricultural Council, what Danes call Landbrug and Fødevare, and we do it together with the Confederation of Danish Industries. They have, all of them are engaged in projects here. They're engaged in all kinds of other things. So with Danish businesses comes, that's what we do. Now, finally, and this is my last talking point. Let me just briefly open the black box to the other side and tell you, in terms of development programming, what's the major stuff we do? Because I think when we are to advance this discussion on how to combine aid and trade and Danish businesses and also local investments with local businesses, it's good for everybody to know what exactly are we doing. So we have a number of instruments, development aid instruments that are meant for including Danish businesses. And I have them here on the screen. Many of you will be familiar with them. They have one characteristic in common, which is that they are handled by Copenhagen. So if you are to access those, then of course you can get advice from us, but basically it will be through Copenhagen. The first one, which used to be called Danida Market Development Partnerships or Program, is now called Danida Green Business Partnerships. And that's basically a program that will give from 5 to 15 million Danish kroner to partnerships between companies and NGOs. You can just Google it. There's a website, or you can write to me and get more information. We have another similar program called Partnering for Green Growth and Global Goals, P4G. It's not super active, but it is still open, trying to work with authorities to basically make the local environment more ready for specific companies. So Grundfos is working with the government of Vietnam on district heating, because Grundfos has a commercial interest in that. That's one example. But then we have still Danida Innovation and Business Explorer, where you can get a little bit of money if you're a Danish company to come and visit Uganda. And then finally, we have Danida Sustainable Infrastructure Finance. It's the last one, but it's also the largest one, where we basically give very large loans to the Danish government, to the Ugandan government, and they spend it on large infrastructure projects that then include Danish companies. We have one coming up. It's a water treatment facility in the suburbs of Kampala. So any company is working in water or pumping or valves or tubing, should have opportunities in that case. You can get back to it. Now we get to the more geeky part, which is basically what we spent most of our work on here in Uganda. It is these 4 projects you see on the screen. And I will take the time just to touch briefly on all 4, but I'm happy to, explain more and go more into details on this. So the first one is the one Moses is running. It's a partnership with ABI Development. Basically, we give ABI Development a lot of money and they give it to other people. That is subsidies, it is grants, but it is clever subsidies. So they do performance-based grants for large coffee exporters in order for them to work more with smallholder farmers. That's just one example. Moses will give you 100 and other examples. They're catalyzing basically private sector agriculture for smallholder farmers and for climate change adaptation. Then we have ABI Finance. It sounds as if it's almost the same, but it's quite different. It's a wholesale financial institution with a total capital of 65 million euros or 400 million Danish kroner. They give out loans to banks, microfinance institutions, and SACCOs here in Uganda in order for those financial institutions to pass on those loans basically to agriculture. They give out loans and they give out guarantees, and they also do some capacity building to increase access to finance. We give them a very small grant of 20 million Danish kroner for them to green their portfolio, to increase access to finance, and to work with the rest of the financial sector in Uganda to figure out what are our risks in climate, and basically how do we do finance better in areas that are not so well reached. We have the third one with a strange acronym called ACAFIM. So IFAD is a very large UN organization in Rome. This is one of their private sector pilot programs in all of East Africa. We have given them 50 million Danish kroner, but the entire program is $200 million. They work with Equity Bank, which is a large regional bank, to basically help Equity Bank attract some of the global finance. We see more and more donors and impact investors wanting to commit money to climate, but very few actors in this area in East Africa knows how to do that. So this project will help Equity Bank and IFAD to basically figure that out. It may sound technical, but when it comes to getting technology for climate change adaptation, irrigation, or drying equipment or storage equipment to farmers, then financing is a key challenge, and this program is supposed to help with that. It also means that if some of you take the effort to understand this and get to work with IFAD or Equity Bank, I'm not saying you just can automatically because it's a large program and they are running it, but if you do that, then the systems they are using will be the same systems in entire East Africa. I can talk about that for hours. I'm not going to do it. I'll just say 2 words about the last program, which is one we are doing with a partner called Trademark Africa. Essentially, we are reducing non-tariff barriers to trade. So that's about trading more in the region. It's about working on standards for agricultural commodities so that Kenya can complain that the Ugandan milk is not healthy, because it is very healthy, but very often they do anyways because they don't want Uganda to export, because Uganda is so good at doing cheap and great milk, so they are a little bit scared about it. This program helps to develop systematic standards for that, and it does a lot of other things that I'm not going to go into. Instead, I will stop this speed talk of Danish development aid and trade, and then I'll simply hand over to Moses to talk you through what is ABI doing and basically what are the opportunities. We were a little bit late in the beginning, and I've spent 3 minutes more than I should, so I hope that we get time afterwards to also discuss. Thank you.
Thanks,
over
Ole.
to you.
Good. So I'll just pick from where Ole has left. Just waiting for my presentation to load. You able to see it?
Yes, we are.
Good. So yeah, Ole introduced me a little, but I've been in development space for a little while. I started working with Coca-Cola many years back, but I've since worked with a number of dairy companies in Kenya, Southern Africa, and then I've also worked in the development sector, primarily supporting agriculture, and also worked with government on industrialization. So I would say, I have experience nearly in all the facets of development, and therefore can speak to the matter of aid to trade, and can also speak on matter of how to blend development and the commercial sector, so to speak. Good, but I'll focus on ABI development. I'm assuming that you know a little more about us, so I've removed many slides. But in a nutshell, we are a company limited by guarantee, founded between Kenya and the Denmark government. We have been around since 2010. We have worked with close to 300 enterprises, almost 360 billion shillings in grants. So, and we primarily provide catalytic grants that promote growth of green and inclusive agribusinesses. So,
Moses, your slides are not moving. I don't know if they're moving on your side, but they're not moving on the screen. At least not for me.
I can see them.
Yeah.
Okay. Then it's probably just me. Okay.
Good, and you can see our vision is really about creating competitive and inclusive and sustainable agribusiness sector, and our mission is really transform the Ugandan agriculture into a competitive agribusiness sector that's resilient to climate change. So climate change really is critical, and I cannot emphasize that more. Our values are as you can see them. So we are well prepared to support businesses between the two countries. We've been around for 14 years. I've said we've deployed close to 320 billion Uganda shillings, supporting almost 300 enterprises. We've caused significant transformation in certain sectors. Coffee, Ole has mentioned dairy. Dairy has moved. Uganda has moved from being a laggard to being the leader of dairy in nearly the whole of Africa when it comes to export. So thanks part to the work that we've done with leading agribusinesses in Uganda. We've caused significant increase in income to both businesses and farmers, and we've impacted lives of well over 2 million households, translating to about 11 million Ugandans. Over the next few years, we want to do significantly more, but with less. So we want to significantly leverage the resources that we have, hence the blending that we are talking about. We are moving away from providing significant grants to providing what we call catalytic, just what is needed, so that we're able to crowd in investment and lending from private sector, from banks and others. So that's really important. We really want to see fundamental shifts, especially in agri-food sector. So we're moving from value chain focused to clusters to really creating competitive enclaves where businesses are able to get services end to end and are able to also access markets. So that's critical, and we really want to impact lives, as you can see. So really the next 5 years are really ambitious. We're also moving away. We are moving from being single program to multi-program. So increasingly we'll be talking to other people in addition to RDE. Again, we will see a lot more impact. But a lot of that impact, we want to focus it in the agri-food sector in specific clusters to create that much needed competitiveness and resilience. So very critical. We engage, using a myriad ways where we really partner with people. Co-creation is critical. Then we provide catalytic finance. We provide business advisory support. This is something we just introduced, especially transaction advisory. And we are seeing, where in the past we've invested up 2 billion shillings to achieve the same result. Now we invest 50 million shillings and then are able to unlock financing of 2 billion. So you can see the impact of our work. That multiplier is really critical. But we also work on matters policy together with government so that we enable. So innovative co-creation is really at the core of what we do. Now, Uganda and Denmark business is something close to us. We're not mandated to do that, but we interact quite often with Danish businesses. And what we've seen in Uganda is that businesses they talk to Chinese and Indians, they're getting cheap equipment. As they grow, they begin to appreciate quality, they begin to talk to Danish companies. So we see second round of investments beginning to go towards Danish companies and also create not just buying equipment, but we also see joint ventures. So really we are seeing that move, which is really critical. It's something we want to unlock because again, farmers are saying and agribusinesses are saying they appreciate the quality of Danish equipment, machinery, etc., as well as the knowledge that comes with it. So really this is critical, and you can see from the 300 enterprises that we've worked with, that creates opportunity because many of them are in the second round of funding and third round of growth towards export. And that's where now quality begins to really matter. So this is really critical in all the sectors where we work. So again, you can see examples of companies that are either joint ventures, but also companies. The coffee sector is really, a lot of the coffee equipment is increasingly Danish, and Kimbria is really doing a good job of that. We have Fresh Handling, which has recently bought equipment worth $600 million from Denmark. So again, a lot of this happened without us coercing or anything. We sometimes just do introductions, and then businesses do happen. But we also provide advisory. So you can see that. Yeah. Training is also critical. We also support the linkages and the delegations that come. We do introduce them. So that's how we work. So I think, of course, there's a question, can we do more? Yes, we can. Under the current green agri-food systems, we can. But again, we are limited by how we approach things. We can't just go to a Danish company and say supply at the expense of everyone else, because again, we're dealing with enterprises that also have their governances. So we can introduce. We're also limited in the sense that we really focus on resilience at the moment. So therefore, there are other things, milling and others, that may not fit into that space. So the question is, how do we do that? So we are saying, we need to find space within the current program, but we're also saying that we can partner with yourselves to create other programs, because we are moving from being single program to being multi-program. Now, if we did a program with you and got the likes of IFU, AFU to work with us, then we can create a program that's specific to Danish companies. In that regard, of course, then we have unfettered space to do things, because there we can say this program is focused. So I think that's also something we're looking at in future. But of course, we'll always do a combination of both. And we believe that this is, we've recently signed an MOU. That MOU should translate into something. I'm sorry, it takes a little while to make business happen through calls and the way we do things, but perhaps we could do that, but at the same time, we could create something that's unique to Denmark and Uganda that is really specific, and we can create a team to do that. So I believe that we can actually do a joint proposal and create a program that is unashamedly Denmark and Uganda. And that becomes a program that we really move forward. And I believe that with the support, in my last visit, I spoke to IFU, all these, financiers from Denmark who are willing to really partner in that space. So I believe we can do that and mobilize resources around it. So that is something I would suggest. If you want to see more businesses happen, and if you want to see us support directly, but through existing programs, we have restrictions in terms of how we approach things. So I think that's how I would say. I would leave it just by summarize by saying we're really ready. With our instruments, we can do many things at the same time. We can advisory we can really provide. So really, I think that space is really open. We are not too restrictive when it comes to providing business advisory and transaction advice, because they tend to be cheaper, and then we tend to focus on leverage. So that is something we can do immediately. But when it comes to something specific to promoting Danish technologies, I think perhaps we need to create a program. And I'm happy to discuss that. So Uganda is land of opportunity. I think you've seen it. And they're yearning for your technologies, and this is the time with the second and third wave of growth of enterprises. So we have 300 plus of them that you can talk to. So we are open for business. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Moses. I think I'll just simply hand back to you, Thomas.
Yes, thank you very much.
From the Ugandan speed talkers to hopefully a little bit of discussion. Thank you.
That was certainly a speed talk, but also very useful. I think you gave a very good overview of the different instruments that you are working with and programs. And I'm sure there are many companies present here today, and I'm sure that they will find the relevance in some of the programs that you mentioned. So Moses, if I can just get you to stop sharing, because then we can see all the faces and I can see whoever poses questions. So please, to all of you here today, if you have any questions for Moses or Ole, this is your opportunity to ask them.
I can see that there's already one in the chat. Ulla has asked for you, Moses, if which agri-clusters would be your focus area apart from coffee and dairy? Opening up the interesting discussion of what a value chain is, but I'll let Moses answer.
Yes, good question. So I would say we are moving away from traditional value chains to supporting what we call the agri-food systems in general. And specifically, we are moving into clusters. In the past, we've worked in various parts of Uganda. So one person would go to the east, and then next time they go to the west, and distances of almost 500, 300 kilometers. So we find that very not as efficient. So, and plus, then you can't work with enterprises to really solve problems that are interconnected, logistics and storage and other things, because you are all over the country. So again, what we are saying in future, we want to focus in certain clusters, certain regions. So we're in the process of doing a landscape assessment of the key regions. Of course, looking at the north and east Uganda, and then the southern central. We've split Uganda basically into two. Within that space, we want to pick specific agri-food clusters where we want to work. So we're in the process of identifying that. And then once we've identified that, we'll focus on those regions. But of course, we'll continue to provide opportunistic support in the other regions. So if the value chains that you're talking about, you're interested in, are in that space, then we will pick them. But basically, we'll pick clusters that have the most opportunities and have the most interest when it comes to investors, have the most interest when it comes to financiers, have the most upside when it comes to productivity and impact on lives, have the most also, of course, challenged climatically. So we are able to support resilience in that space. So, but this is a conversation we'll have once we've done the assessment. Then we'll work together with stakeholders to create the roadmaps needed. Within that roadmap, of course, we'll identify the key sectors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. There's also a question from Satya. Does opportunities focus also on refugee settings? And I may add a little bit to that question, also talking about the different market segments that your instruments support. So are there any requirements in terms of market segments, like reaching poor and vulnerable people, also refugee settings? And perhaps also linking, is there any focus on preparing these instruments for advancing the export readiness of Ugandan farmers and companies? So a little bit, if you can reflect on the development impact and segments that you're targeting.
Yeah, I mean, okay, one, we are not a livelihood program, so we tend to focus on the more commercialization of sectors. But having said that, refugees is one of our constituency. It's a small constituency, but we are working with cooperatives in regions where they are refugees. So, but we take a very commercial approach. So we tend to favor where there's a commercial opportunity that also has opportunity to cause impact. So we pick those regions. So you can say, of course, livelihoods are critical in those regions. So, but then you realize the productivities are low. There's a lot of land in that space. So again, we go into that space because one, it has commercial opportunities, because we want to leverage the resources that we have. The only way to leverage is to go where commercial interests are. And of course, sometimes we go before them and then attract them. So that's critical as well. Export is critical. Like I've mentioned, we've really supported the coffee sector. Now they're $1 billion sector. Recently, they were threatened by right now they're under the threat of EUDR, and we are supporting them to respond to EUDR to keep the European the market access to Europe. So you can see that is something we continue to do. The other questions we're asking is, can they begin to create trading enterprises that can really then focus on the globe and really get the food standards and other things in place. Again, because East Africa is a food deficient region. It's growing so fast, but there's not enough raw materials for industries and whatnot. So we believe Uganda has a unique opportunity that we can take advantage of in terms of export, but we also then creates opportunities to change lives at scale in the different regions of Uganda. So big opportunities, I would say. Thank you.
And Ole, there's a comment from you. Oh, you're muted somehow.
Oh, hello.
Okay, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was wanted to ask Moses on what we could best recommend our customers when they're looking for financial loans to develop businesses, like a lot of them for mobile grain dryers, irrigation setups for larger field, and it's typical tickets of like 100,000 USD.
Yes, absolutely. And that fits within the resilience space. When you're talking irrigation, when you're talking mobile dryers, again, what we are saying is that there's no need producing, and then all of it ends up in post-harvest losses, because that reduces resilience significantly. So the following year, there's no produce or you can't export. So we are saying that's important part of resilience. Yes, typical investment, 100,000 USD, that's something we can support. And we can support by starting with advisory. We can identify leading cooperative unions that can take up a lot of those things at scale. And plus also, of course, there are other large-scale farms that also work with smallholder farmers throughout grower schemes. So we can link those up and we can help unlock financing for them. And this is the space where we would like to work with the likes of IFU as well as IFO.
So they can engage your office, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Start the discussion there.
Okay, thank you. There was a comment from you, Ole.
Somehow you're muted.
We cannot hear.
Yeah, but maybe I can speak to what Ole has written, because I was at that meeting. IFO now can focus on smaller ticket items as well. So we've seen them, they say they can go as low as $30,000. So I think, less efficient, but that means we can actually start and then grow into larger ticket items.
Let me try again. Is this better?
Oh,
yes.
Now we can hear you.
Hi. Excellent. So yeah, just to back up, I think at least we have seen a small change in the way IFO works. The what was previously EKF, the Export Credit Agency, they have an interest in smaller tickets. So Peter, maybe I would be keen on exploring whether that's something they're just saying or it can happen in reality. But of course, there's some requirements on the buyer. Then it has to be some kind of credible buyer. Otherwise, I'm happy that Moses is willing to take up the discussion. One general comment I wanted to make was that in these challenges I was talking about in the beginning, and these silos we have, where you have our development programs with very strong social or green goals that may not always match what we can do commercially. The approach that we are trying to take from the embassy is a portfolio approach. So, for example, for the money we are giving to Moses, we have said, yes, some of it needs to be super dark green and extremely inclusive, but not all of it. Meaning, so if you have a budget of 100 million kroner, right, then let's not make all of it restricted to those goals. Let's have a portfolio approach and see if we can take some of it that is, and some of it then can be more commercial. We have taken the same approach in this EFAD program I was talking about, 50 million Danish kroner, or $200 million, where EFAD has actually moved quite considerably. They used to work only with smallholder farmers, but in this particular program, they are working with all of agriculture. So production, processing, transport, export, all of it, also businesses. It's the same sort of portfolio idea that you know, let's make market-based programs and not only social programs. Of course, they need to be socially inclusive. We need that element, and we need the green element to be very strong. But let's take sort of more of a holistic portfolio, pragmatic approach. Thank you.
Okay, so Ole, thank you very much for these elaborations. Time is actually up, so I just wanted to say thank you very much, Ole and Moses, for giving us this overview and highlighting the opportunities that exist. If any of you want to continue the dialogue, I'm sure that you can approach Ole or Moses directly and see what opportunities you can find.